there, my name is Lexi, and thank you so much for joining me in this video. I am a singer and songwriter who happens to be an audio engineer, and the purpose of this channel is to help aspiring performing artists as well as anyone who may have an interest in being involved in the music industry in some capacity. These videos and these tips are inspired by my experiences. It may not work for you, but of course, definitely try and see and figure out, what pushes you further along in your journey to superstardom. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the cost of performing. Many people in general, and even artists, don't realize all that it takes to actually go about doing a performance and don't quite understand all the moving pieces that go into preparing for performances, following through with a performance, and then even some things that might have to happen after a performance is complete. So this video is not meant to discourage anybody. It's simply meant to point out some things that you probably may not have thought about, and to help you get a better understanding of everything you may need as an artist, especially when it comes to marketing, because performing is a part of marketing in my opinion. It'll help you have a better idea of what you need to prepare a budget for your marketing for physical appearances. So let's get right into it. And if you notice me looking off to the side, it's because I have my notes on my computer sitting right next to me. So don't be alarmed. We're going to stay on track. All right. So first thing I want to point out, performing is not just about showing up. Showing up is just one piece of the battle. And honestly, it can be a very small piece. There are so many other parts, as I mentioned earlier, that are really going to determine the success of your performance and how well they go for you. So in this video, we're not even going to talk about the cost of recording a song, getting a song mixed, getting it mastered, or even, recording an entire project, because that is a separate thing in itself. That's really the cost that it takes before getting to a performance. So if you don't have any music, then you should not really be on the performance tip, unless maybe you're doing like cover songs or something like that. Just my opinion, but there's a lot that goes into performing, more than people realize, especially more than new artists would probably realize. So let's point out some of those things. So some things to consider. You need to consider time. You got to consider rehearsal space, your overall appearance. You got to consider entry fees, travel, merchandise, and if you're going to have a videographer or not. So when we're talking about time, this is the number one factor that you have to take into consideration. It also happens to be a factor that you cannot measure in a monetary value, because no one can tell you what your time is worth. Everyone's time may be worth something different, or may have different value in different people's eyes. So the main thing I want to point out is you're spending time rehearsing for shows, you're spending time traveling for shows, you're spending time waiting around to perform and then actually performing, and then you're spending time networking during the event, or even after the event. There comes the whole follow-up thing, whether you're following up with artists that were at the showcase or open mic with you, or if you're following up with audience members. I know for myself, when I go to showcases, my main goal is to capture emails and names of people who are in the audience who have expressed an interest in my music. So the next day, I'll often go back and email them saying, hey, it was nice meeting you at the show last night or on such and such day. I hope that you're enjoying the music. Just in case you lost the CD that I gave you, I'm emailing you this free copy of the song that I performed that night. And, that takes time to follow up with those people. As far as rehearsal, so we're going to back it up a little bit. Rehearsing for a show, one of my personal goals, it's a rule that I don't adhere to as much as I would like, because I'm still working on discipline myself. So if you're still working on this, don't feel bad about it. But time that it takes to rehearse for a show, my personal rule is you should rehearse 10 times as long as it takes for you to perform. So let's say that you have, which is an average time slot, 5 minutes to perform a song or do whatever you got to do in 5 minutes, right? If you're performing 10 times as long as you have, if you're rehearsing 10 times as long as you have to perform, that means if you have 5 minutes, multiply that by 10, you should be rehearsing for at least 50 minutes. Go ahead and round that up to an hour. If you have a 5-minute performance, you should be rehearsing for at least 1 hour. Next thing you want to think about is the travel time that it takes to get there. And this is going to depend on if you have a car or if you have to use public transportation. If you have a car, you got to worry about traffic. You got to worry about how far your house is from wherever the venue is. If you're taking public transportation, it's going to be the same principle, except you have to add in that added time of waiting for the bus, waiting for the train. So tack on an extra hour to 3 hours if you have to use public transportations to get to and from your performance destination. The other thing I mentioned, waiting to perform and actually performing. A lot of times with these showcases and open mics, there will be at least 20 artists on the bill for the night altogether, and you're each getting 5 minutes. That's a lot of time. That's 100 minutes. That's an hour and some change, or hour 20 or something like that. Yeah, hour 40. Hour 40. That's almost a 2 hour show. That's not including like breaks or things that the host has to do to keep the crowd hyped up or whatever. So let's just say 2 hours for 20 people that are going to be performing that night. You have a certain order that you're going in. So, and then even with some of these showcases, you may have to show up like an hour before the doors open up to do a sound check. That's for events that are a little bit more organized and a little bit more serious, if you want to say. But you might have to get there an hour before, do your sound check, and then you're waiting around for the doors to open, and then the show doesn't start until an hour after the doors open, and then you have to wait until your turn comes up. So there's a lot of time waiting around to perform, and then you perform for maybe 5 minutes, and then after that there is the whole aspect of networking, because you don't want to just perform and then leave, ideally. I'm guilty of wanting to go as soon as I'm done with the performance. I need to do better with that. That's just a little insider to how I am right now and what I'm working on. You can pick and choose what you're working on for yourself. But as far as networking, you want to stay. The event is probably, normally these events are anywhere from like 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the morning. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. That's 6 hours total out of your day that you should probably be thinking, I'm going to be at this place for at least X amount of time. So you got to just prepare yourself mentally. So cost-wise, that is what it takes as far as time. And there is no real monetary value I can put on that, because again, who am I to judge, how valuable your time is or how much you value time. Next thing I want to get into, the next cost is going to be rehearsal space. So you may not even have to rent rehearsal space, honestly, but if you want to be in a more official space, rehearsal spaces are going to range anywhere from $20 an hour to $100 an hour, depending on what side of town you're in, what kind of room it is, or what building it's attached to, the name of that location, if a bunch of people have been there, if it's a famous and well-known location for being a rehearsal space. So that's also going to take time and gas to travel to the rehearsal space. You want to think about your overall physical appearance. And I quoted this as ranging anywhere from $230 to $700. Now, of course, there are some variables in the overall appearance that you may not have to invest in every single time you do a performance, but you got to think about stuff like your overall outfit. Do you have the right clothes in your wardrobe that will make you stand out, look like an artist, that will make you have a better stage presence and an overall great presentation? Something that I'm still working on for myself is branding my look, branding my style, and just figuring out a look that makes me look like an artist, but still something that I'm comfortable in and confident in. So your overall outfit, the clothes, the shoes, and the accessories. And then you have to worry about, if you're a girl. If you're a guy, probably like haircuts, but if you're a girl, getting your hair done, and then makeup. If I want to get my nails done too, it could be my hands and my toes. So let me slow down a little bit. A full outfit, right? From head to toe plus accessories, that'll be anywhere from $100 all the way up to, $300. And then a hair appointment, if you're a guy, that might range anywhere from $20 to get your hair cut. If you're a girl, that could be upwards of $200 to get your hair done. For ladies, nail appointment, hands and feet, that will range you anywhere from $40 to $100. That's to get those things done, and also to tip the people who did the service for you, because we always make sure we tip those people. the hairstylist and the nail stylist. And then there's makeup. So if you are going to like the mall or you're hiring somebody to do your makeup for an event, that can range anywhere from $40 to $100 on average. It could be more than that. So that's overall appearance. That's why I said the range for that would be $230 upwards of $700. The next thing would be pay to play and entry fees, which I went ahead and just rounded up to $20. Many of these showcases and open mics, they're either gonna charge you to get into the building or they're going to charge you to get in and perform. So most of these places will have an entry fee of, I say, at on average $10. That's just to come in and watch whatever's going on. If you want to perform, it'll be $20. So that $20 is a $10 entry fee plus a $10 fee to perform to get 5 minutes on stage. So just round that up to $20, and that's how much you're paying for the actual event. Now we're going to get into travel, which is gas and mileage on your car. There's parking and public transportation, as I mentioned before. Now, when I was talking about travel before, I was talking about time. Now we're talking about a monetary value of what's going on for your travel. So if you got gas in your car, you putting on miles on your car, this is not necessarily going to cost you anything, but if you break it down, a fraction of your tank of gas might be anywhere from $2 to $5. That'll typically get you at least 20 miles, I think, right? I didn't break down the math on that part, but so there's gas in your car. That's maybe $5. And then there's parking. Depending on what part of town you're in and depending on the venue, you may have to pay anywhere from $5 to $20 for parking. And public transportation, if you're not taking your car, which actually might be a cheaper option if you're willing to put in the extra time that it takes to take public transportation. But public transportation is going to be anywhere from $2 to $5 maybe. That's for a round trip. $5 is closer to round trip. But again, you have to account for that extra time that it's going to take waiting for the bus, waiting for the train, as well as factoring in, what time of day you're traveling. So just keep that in mind when it comes to your transportation. And then there is the cost of merchandise. I put this as a range from anywhere from $50 to $300. And this is just me thinking about if you have physical CDs, if you have business cards, or if you have like actual branded clothing, actual material that you're bringing to the show. If you want to get like 100 CDs, you can find places for $50 that will give you 100 CDs. You can find places that will give you 250 to 1,000 business cards for $50, or you can find places that will give you t-shirts, maybe like a batch of 10, starting at maybe 100 depending on where you go. But if you want like a big batch of at least 20 to 50 shirts, you may be looking at, $300, and that's lowballing it. And then the last part I want you to think about is if you are hiring a videographer, a professional person who is going to come and record the entire performance for you so that you can use it for promotional purposes later and create like content for your social media and stuff. I put that as a range from $75 to $200. And that's just me averaging what I have personally heard over the years of asking videographers to come and record for me. It may be different in your area. It may be about the same, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. So after you add up all of these things, how much per month would it cost you to perform? And I didn't even do the numbers on like, is this one showcase a week per month? Is this 2-3 showcases per week in the month? I didn't necessarily break down the number for that, but the overall upfront cost, if we're combining time, rehearsal space, appearance, entry fees and pay to play fees, travel, merchandise, videographer, that's looking at an upfront cost ranging anywhere from $375 to $1,350. I was about to say $1,350. It's the same thing, but $375 to $1,350 as an upfront cost for everything that you would need for that initial performance starting out. So breaking that down, again, time is priceless because you can't really put a value on time. Rehearsal space might cost you anywhere from $20 to $100 per hour. Overall physical appearance, $200 to $700. Pay to play and entry fees, $20. Travel could be anywhere from $5 to $30. Merchandise, $50 to $300. Videographer, $700 to $200. Now, there are, I split it up into like definite cost and then variable cost. Let's just do this because that looks weird. So there's like a definite cost and then a variable cost, right? So definite costs are something, this is my definition, something that you're always going to have to pay for no matter when you're performing, no matter where you're performing. You're most likely always going to have to pay an entry fee or a performance fee. You're most likely always going to have to pay for travel, like parking or gas in your car or taking the bus or the train. And you may always have to spend money for your appearance, whether that's getting like a new shirt, new pants, new accessories. It could be something small like $2 to $5 for accessories. I don't know. But I feel like those are going to be your definite costs. And you know what? Now that I look at it, I could probably take off appearance because you may not always have to pay for that once you get your wardrobe up to a certain inventory, right? And then the variable costs, things that you will not have to pay for all the time. It may have been included in the upfront cost, but you may not actually need it for shows after that because, it's going to take a while for those resources to exhaust, or you may not need it at all. Rehearsal space, appearance, merchandise, and videographer. So I guess I did put appearance in variable. I don't know why I didn't take that off of the thing there, but whatever. It's in the notes, so we're going to talk about it. All right, so variable costs. Let's talk about how to bypass some of the costs that I talked about. So rehearsal space. I mentioned that rehearsal space might be anywhere from $20 an hour to $100 per hour, depending on where you go and, the prestige, I guess, of the location of the rental space. And then there's money to travel to and from that rehearsal space. If you want to bypass that cost, you don't have to go to an official rehearsal space. You can rehearse right at home in the comfort of your room. You can rehearse in your living room. If you have a house and you have a garage, you can rehearse in your garage. When I was a kid and we used to play around pretending like we were Cheetah Girls and Destiny's Child, we would do little routines in the driveway of the house. Or if you have a backyard, you can use your backyard as a rehearsal space. So don't feel like you have to have an official rehearsal space. You can definitely make it work and cut out that cost. Next thing would be appearance. As I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a variable cost because once you get your wardrobe and your accessories and your shoes to a certain level of inventory, you won't have to keep buying pieces over and over again. You can just mix match things. So if anything, I would just say make sure that you're buying pieces that can mix match so you're not having to wear the same thing over and over again. But honestly, if you want to buy one outfit for the month and then let's say you're going to do one showcase each week, that's at least 4 weeks in each month, right? That's 4 times you got to wear something. You can wear the same outfit 4 times in that month. Just go to different locations. You can wear the same outfit to the same venue, performing at that same place 4 times in the month because the audience is not always going to be the same. And honestly, sometimes that might work in your favor because people start to get a familiarity of you, and it might even become a thing that's like an icebreaker when you're meeting new people. Oh yeah, I remember you from the last show. Didn't you have this on last time? Oh yeah, bro, you saw me? Oh yeah, how'd I do last time? Oh, you did much better this time than before. I don't know. It could be like an icebreaker thing. And I'm speaking kind of fast trying to get my points out because this video is already 19 minutes. But anyway, that's appearance. That's how you can kind of finesse that so that you're not having to spend money on your clothes every single time you do a performance because that does get really expensive. The next thing, merchandise. So merchandise is like variable because you pay for a lot up front, but once you have that stuff, then it's going to take a while for those resources to burn off, right? So I mentioned CDs. If you're getting 100 CDs, if you only pass out 10 CDs per show, that's going to last you 10 shows, right? If you got business cards, you got 250 business cards or 1,000 business cards, and you're handing out like 50 business cards, that's going to last you like 6 to however many shows, right? It's going to last you a long time. If you have t-shirts, are you selling all of your t-shirts at all these places? Most likely not if you're a new artist and people don't really know who you are. But or if you're just giving them away, if you decide like I'm going to give this amount away at each show, or my goal is to sell this much, or you actually are selling this much per show, then you're not going to burn through those supplies so quickly. The upfront cost is a lot, but it's going to stretch you so you won't have to pay for that every single time you want to do a show. And the last thing, something that you can bypass if you want to, is the whole videographer situation. You don't need to hire a professional videographer for every single show you do. Honestly, anybody with a cell phone, the cameras, the quality on these things these days is really good to where you can get some decent footage just by recording on your cell phone. You don't have to spend money on a videographer. Unless you were on like a huge platform, I would say you do not need to invest in a videographer. You can record it from your phone. I have my camera that I invested in. This Canon EOS M50 was $800, and then I have another camera that I paid like $200 for. I can ask my friend to come to the show with me and record for me and just make it really clear to your friend, yo, you are here to record my performance. Sometimes that could be an issue if you don't make that clear for your friend, but you don't have to get a professional videographer. You can get the same result as far as getting all of the video footage that you want by asking your friend to record on your phone or record on your camera, and it's going to be all good. So those are all of the costs that I thought of that are associated with being an artist, and those are some ways to bypass some of those costs, so that you're not spending and breaking bank every single month to do these performances and showcases. So what do you think about the costs I've mentioned in this video? Do you think this is a reasonable list, or do you have any suggestions on what it really is or how you can cut some more of those costs? Oh, and I forgot to mention about makeup. If you know how to do your own hair, your own nails, your own makeup, you don't have to spend money on that either. But, do you think this was a reasonable and well-rounded list of things that, might come up as a cost for artists? But thank you so much for watching this video. Please give me a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified each and every time I post a new video. And until next time, my name is LexC. Peace.
Does it have to be this way? I think we both could use a minute. Is that stress that is a change that makes you look so different lately? Can you tell me if you hate me, baby?
Hey, this is LexC, and you're listening to my new song, Rock Bottom, from my latest album, self-titled LexC. Click the links in the description below to listen to my new album, available on Spotify.
Rock bottom.